Hey, I want to welcome everybody to our MS Views and News first educational program in the state of Massachusetts, and I'm glad that all of you could attend today, and I'm also very glad that we have our online audience because that always means a lot from event to event. So, to start off today's program, we are going to be, this is a Compass MS Care program. We are sponsored by EMD Serono, Sandoz, Novartis, Banner, Genentech, Biogen, Bristol-Myers Squibb, and Sanofi. So I do want to thank them, and I hope you all can thank them as well. Clap, clap, clap. Thank you. All right, we had exhibitors today. We had exhibitors outside greeting the audience coming in of Banner Life Sciences, Alexion, and Bristol-Myers Squibb, and I'm glad that everybody could be here and to give the information that you could, the resources, to those attending this program. I'm going to ask a local patient advocate support group leader to come on up. His name is Alan Weinberg. He's going to speak with you for 2 to 3 minutes. He also knows that if he goes forward, the stage gets pulled out. But come on up, Alan. We want to say hello to you and give you a few minutes to say hello about your group.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alan Weinberg. I'm the founder of the Core Connections MS support group out of the Boston area. What is Core Connections? Well, I founded it 20 years ago, so 2002, and I did it 8 years after my diagnosis. The initial focus was for newly diagnosed, but over the years we have adapted that to general MS support, and it's for individuals and their caregivers. Hundreds and hundreds of individuals, as you can imagine, have passed through that support group over the years, and it has been an amazing experience. We meet the first Thursday of every month for about 2 hours right now via Zoom. We used to do it live. We may go back to that. And it's still going strong, so I guess we're doing something right. So what's at the core of Core Connections? Well, the tone is always positive, despite some of the heavy topics we address. And while we provide information on a wide range of topics, we seem to spend a lot of the 2 hours talking about how we feel about things. So what do we talk about? Love, loss, fear, uncertainty, courage, accomplishment, divorce, pandemics, embarrassment, sex, beautiful things, financial concerns, feeling good, feeling ill, feeling different. You look so well. Will I be able to walk or think or work or stay married or get married or feel attractive? We talk about life. Because people with MS and their partners and their caregivers wonder what's going to happen to their lives. And for the newly diagnosed person, it's anxiety, but it's turbocharged. And for the MS veteran, well, it's a state of anticipation or maybe dread about what could come. The mission of Core Connections today is to address all of this. And when I started it 20 years ago, I didn't know this, but I became a better listener over time. And for anyone running a support group, whether for MS or anything else, listening is the secret to having impact. Listen. Listen intently. Listen with empathy. MS can make people feel lonely or isolated or anxious and afraid. Haven't we all been there at some point? Maybe not for MS, but perhaps for something else. And wasn't it great when a trusted person was there as a sounding board and acknowledged the feelings as being real and important and justified? Something as simple as this can elevate people, even a little bit, and bring in a few more trusted individuals, and it becomes a force multiplier. To date, I've never had a meeting end on a sad or a negative note. We all wave goodbye from our little Zoom screens, and we say, see you next month. What that really means is thank you, everyone, for listening to me. I've got my recharge until next time. And that includes me. These are wonderful people who happen to have MS. And this is Core Connections. It has changed my life, and it's having a positive impact. Like everyone who has MS, I didn't ask for this, but I'm grateful every day for the opportunity to have met so many beautiful people on this crazy journey, and I appreciate everyone here for allowing me to tell you about Core Connections and for being such great listeners. Thank you.
All right, that's perfect. And I wish that we had more Allens around the country doing what he's doing, because that was very inspirational. Thank you. I want to hear it too. I may fly up to attend your group meetings. I'll be more than happy to. Thank you. All right, next we have Paul Pelland. Paul's talk is leaning into life's turns. I'm just going to say this about Paul, though. Paul's an amazing individual who has ridden hundreds of thousands of miles on his bike to raise awareness about multiple sclerosis. He's done this from coast to coast. He's been involved with bike journeys and bike tournaments and different things where he can just raise awareness constantly around the U.S. He has spoken for us many times in many ports, rural regions, and et cetera. And I'm going to always have him as, part of our team, wherever we can go, and bring him forward as well, because he's got a great message. And while he does his dialogue, I want you to really listen to what he's talking about, because even though it sounds like it's about his motorcycle, it's going to be about MS, all right? So I want to welcome up Paul Pelland. Long haul Paul, come on up, join us on stage. And Paul's going to speak for about 30 minutes, and then we'll do Q&A.
Well, hello. This year, I'm celebrating 18 years of living with multiple sclerosis. Yes, I said celebrate, because it's been 18 years with no real signs of disease progression. Because of changes that I made in my lifestyle, I also feel healthier now than before I was diagnosed. I'm also celebrating because I have decided that multiple sclerosis is not going to control my life or define who I am, ever. In fact, I'm using my MS to return to a forgotten passion while raising awareness and funds for a cure. I'm celebrating MS as a positive in my life because, quite frankly, it isn't going away, and being okay with it feels a hell of a lot better than the alternatives. Now, I'm not saying I don't have days where I don't feel sad or angry, fearful, or depressed about having MS, or those days when my symptoms really get the best of me. I'm just choosing to concentrate my thoughts and energy on some of the good things that MS has brought me. Like today, I got out of the house. I don't have to cook anything. I definitely won't be doing any dishes afterwards. I didn't have to rake any leaves in my yard. My wife is home doing that right now, so let's take as long as we can. Or maybe I'm tuning up the snowblower, getting ready for the first big storm, or fighting the lines at Market Basket for a turkey that's 49 cents today. You know that, everybody? Market Basket. I'm glad that I'm doing something positive, sharing my story with you, and it's because I have MS, right? See how this works? My course of the disease has been quite manageable, and I know not everybody's MS is the same. But having multiple sclerosis should never be on a list of how we describe or see ourselves. MS is certainly not who I am, and MS should not be who you are. If you look up multiple sclerosis in the dictionary, you will not see my picture. So make sure your picture never makes it there either. Me, I'm a man, I'm a husband, a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm an avid motorcyclist. As you know, the disease and symptoms and the symptoms progression is different in every single patient. In my case, the majority of my MS symptoms have been cognitive. Short-term memory loss, mental fatigue, multitasking, short-term memory loss. Did I say that? Impaired planning, decision-making, and short-term memory loss. Despite the hours and hours that I've spent preparing this presentation, I really have no idea what slide comes next. I also have some weakness, loss of dexterity in my hands, some numbness and burning, tingling issues, as well as some bladder issues. Unlike the other presenters that you will hear from today, I'm not an MS expert, But as an avid motorcyclist who now travels extensively around the country, I found a way to navigate around the potholes in my life. And by pursuing my passion, I was able to discover my life's purpose. Getting diagnosed with relapsing remitting MS certainly made me feel like I was on a dead-end street. But by learning to apply some of the principles for properly riding a motorcycle, I was able to see how MS was just another part of my life's adventure, and I learned how to keep it from blocking my road to happiness. I've been riding motorcycles for over 30 years. I ride motorcycles like most people drive cars. I travel, commute, I go shopping with my bike. I've ridden in all the lower 48 states, Mexico, Canada, and Alaska. Riding a motorcycle to me is as natural as breathing. I found the therapy of riding long distances a good way to escape from a bad marriage, a boggled divorce, and what became a monstrous 10-year custody ordeal. Pain, anxiety, anger, and fear all went away the more hours and miles that I rode. When I ride my motorcycle today, I don't have MS. By 2003, I had become one of the top long-distance motorcycle riders in the country, and I was at the pinnacle of my riding career. I was selected to ride in the world's toughest motorcycle competition called the Iron Butt Rally. Although I managed a top 10 finish in the 11-day, 11,000-mile event, something happened during that rally that would forever change the course of my life. I don't remember arriving at the Midway Checkpoint Hotel, but I must have looked like hell because I was ordered by the rally staff to skip the mandatory riders meeting and go directly to my room and get some rest. They did, however, tell me that I was currently in first place. I had prearranged to share a room with a friend, a fellow New Hampshire rider. But the next morning, something was very wrong that sleep did not fix. I had no strength in my hands. They were tingling and numb. I couldn't even hold a pen. Was it the heat? Was it fatigue? Whatever the reason, I was also confused and disorientated, and I was unable to plan a good route for the next leg of the event. Later that morning, I came across an accident, and although the motorcycle was partially upside down, I thought I recognized it. So I stopped, and I went over to the rider who was being helped by the EMTs. They asked me if I knew who he was, and I said yes. But suddenly, I had no idea who he was, what his name was. I was haunted by years by the fact I could not remember a friend's name and the rider that I had shared a room with the night before. After finishing the event, my arm weakness and cognitive symptoms continued, and I eventually saw a neurologist who did a few office tests and said he was pretty sure that I just had, and I quote, crap for brains. But, he added, let's run a few more tests to rule out any of the bad stuff. When he later told me that my MRI scans were remarkable, I thought I was getting a lollipop or maybe a watermelon-scented sticker. Apparently, remarkable means something totally different in med school. They found 5 lesions in my brain. Unfortunately, the jokes were over, and we would not be ruling out the bad stuff. I retired from competing, sold my bikes, and I gave up riding motorcycles altogether. I tossed away my dreams, my plans for the future. I sold my business, and I prepared for the absolute worst. Well, the worst that I had imagined, it never showed up. So I stopped waiting for it. I've been happily married for most of the past 15 years. My kids have grown up and moved away. I'm still able to work, and I've not had a major disabling attack for the past 15 years. 10 years ago, I realized although I may never be able to compete in endurance rallies, I could still ride a motorcycle across the country, and that I'd thrown in the towel a bit too early on a sport that I really loved. In just a few months, my entire life's road was recalculated, and I'm now living out a great adventure documenting 1,000,000 miles by motorcycle, raising awareness and funds while trying to encourage others with MS to rediscover or find a new path as well. Rediscovering long-distance riding and making it a central part of my life has created a wonderful and positive, powerful environment for me, opening up doors like writing and speaking, abilities I never knew I had. So I would like to share with you 4 rules for riding a motorcycle that can also be used to navigate life with or without MS. 4 simple words: learn, look, lean, and live. Before hopping on a brand new motorcycle, it's extremely important for me to learn about the machine, how it works, and how to take care of it. I need to learn the bike's limits as well as my own. It's equally important to constantly improve my abilities by taking refresher courses and learning from experienced riders. I think that we can learn about MS in the same way, right? What it is, how it affects our own bodies, and what to do about slowing it down. Multiple sclerosis is a puzzle that never gets finished. So it's important to find a great MS specialist who can teach us and inform us about our individual disease and symptoms. I think it's also important to attend informational events like this one. These programs are also a great way to meet and speak to others. Collectively, we are a team of experts, all traveling down the same road together. I learn something new every time I meet others with MS, and that's why I love coming to these events. Let's hope some of you will learn something new today. Look where you want to go is the next rule. When riding a motorcycle, I need to look in the direction I want to travel. Look as far down the road as I can, and look around or beyond the hazards in the road to avoid hitting them. If I look directly at something in the road, my bike will veer right towards it and hit it. It's no secret that living with multiple sclerosis can be an obstacle in life's road, right? Appearing to block the path to happiness that we were traveling down. Sometimes the obstacle is a dead squirrel. Other times, it's more like a giant pothole. But no matter what is in the way, the solution is the same. Look beyond the MS. Look past the symptoms. Keep moving down that road. And by keeping our eyes on our goals and what makes us happy, we eventually will get to where we want to go. The third rule is lean. A moving motorcycle can only change direction by leaning. If the bike doesn't lean into a turn, it will run off the road and, what do you think? Crash. To initiate a lean, I have to push on the handlebar in the direction I want the bike to travel, and the bike follows. Everybody knows navigating life with MS can bring us to many forks in the road. And when we arrive at these crossroads, we need to act. We need to push that handlebar, leaning hard towards the new path. Because without that push, all the wishing and hoping in the universe won't help us recalculate our direction. I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of crashing. So I think it's important to not let MS define who we are or control our life's road. And the last rule to motorcycle success is live. And I don't mean just sucking oxygen. Riding a motorcycle involves risks. It's not a secret that riders have a greater risk of injury should they be involved in a collision. But Riders accept these higher risks in exchange for rewards and freedom of adventure and the excitement and pleasure that they experience from riding. I ride a motorcycle not because I have a death wish, but because I have a wish to live. The same can be true when living life with a disease that has so many unknowns. It can be risky to start a new activity, start a family or a new career, plan for a vacation or retirement. But unless we take these risks, we may never achieve the rewards of happiness and success that everyone deserves to experience. So maybe it's time to make that new recipe, or wear those high heels again, or join that bowling league, buy that convertible, plan that fishing trip, or jump out of that airplane. Because having an unpredictable disease shouldn't mean we have to play it safe or give up. Maybe it gives us special permission to learn, to look, to lean, and most of all, to live. In 2001, I didn't yet have any multiple sclerosis symptoms, but I rode a poor excuse for a motorcycle that did. And it was while riding in an 11-day endurance competition, thumping along a lonely Wyoming highway at a top speed of 25 miles an hour on a poor excuse for a motorcycle, that I almost gave up on one of the greatest crossroads of my life. Chugging along, limping to the next town, the drone of the one working cylinder began to take on a very curious verse. Go home, go home, go home, go home, go home. Not a soul on earth gave me a chance of finishing that event. Not even the bike's manufacturer thought I would finish. And after a week of breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, the engines taunting almost convinced me that they were right. But from somewhere deep within, I was suddenly overcome with a surge of energy. I stood up on the foot pegs, I opened up my helmet face shield, and I screamed at the top of my lungs, "I will not give up, and I will not go home." And I etched the statement across my windshield with a grease pencil. And I vowed no matter what, I was going to finish that event. Without a second doubt, I knew where I needed to go. I looked beyond the problem. I leaned hard into the wind, and I eventually dragged myself across the finish line. I will forever be grateful for taking the risk, the impossible 1,000,000-to-1 odds of finishing that event on such an unreliable, antiquated motorcycle. That ride, that day, that moment helped shape who I am and continues to give me strength to believe in myself in the most difficult and trying times. And inside every one of us here today is that same power and ability to overcome our MS obstacles and to continue on a path towards a wonderful and fulfilling life. What I was able to learn from this story, and I hope you can as well, is that no matter how big the hill, there's always a way over or around it. You may just need to use your heart, your mind, and sometimes a grease pencil to do it. 10 years ago, I made my MS diagnosis public, and I began a fantastic adventure traveling by motorcycle every day possible while trying to encourage others dealing with challenges in life to recalculate their path as well. My goal is to officially document 1,000,000 miles by motorcycle as an advocate, and my mission is fueled by having MS. My mission statement is pretty darn simple. I once was told a cure for MS was 1,000,000 miles away, so I thought I'd go get it and bring it back. Having a brain riddled with holes, having a physical or mental challenge, or riding a piece of crap motorcycle should never confine or define who we are. I know we all have different MS symptoms, and my course of the disease has been quite manageable compared to some. I certainly don't expect everyone in this room to run out and buy a motorcycle and ride it all over creation. But I do know some of you were passionate about something at some time, and maybe that passion was put aside after getting diagnosed with MS. So I challenge you to revisit that activity or find a related activity and look at it from a whole new angle. Get some help from assistive technology or just a different set of eyes. And maybe you might just see a brand new path to something that you can be excited about as well. There are millions of miles of roads on this earth, and each and every one of them intersected with crossroads representing different paths. And therefore, not all of us are supposed to take the fastest route. Slow down, recalculate, detour, wander, or shift, because a roundabout can still get you to your goal. And believe me, sometimes that ride, that journey, that side trip adventure will become much more important than the original destination. Well, that's about all I got. I don't know what time it is, but
Thank you very much, Paul.
I just want to say hi, Paul. It's been a long time since I've seen you. You probably don't remember me, given all the
of
speeches.
course I do. How
But
are you?
I'm okay. I just want to ask how many miles you've been.
So I started 10 years ago is when I started this whole thing. I'm about 550,000 miles documented, so just over 500,000 so far. So it's taken a little longer than I thought, but all the miles are actually going to events. My motorcycle sits in the garage if I'm not doing MS-related, work. So I should have said kilometers. I'd be almost done by now.
Anybody else here have a question? She already had the same question.
I think what's I'm impressed more about the miles is that in the 10 years, I've been doing a lot of MS fundraising and stuff. I've raised over $300,000 for different MS charities, which that's really very cool. The amount of people who support my adventures, and I do a lot of crazy motorcycle stunts as fundraisers. I've set 4 what I call stupid world records. But all of them have been to raise money, and the amount of people that have supported what I'm doing, both MS patients and people I've met, but also in the motorcycle community really have stepped up and sponsored me and supporting me. It's pretty expensive to spend 200 nights a year on the road, and I don't camp. And but you camp? No, I don't camp. I camp at Marriott's, but having the people support me and follow me, YouTube and Facebook and all of that stuff has really made a big difference in me being able to continue not having a real job.
Okay, next we do have a person online that just wanted to thank you for all the time that you are writing, and hopes that you can continue to do this even as your MS journey continues.
Well, we will do it as long as we can.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for everything you have been doing. Awesome. This is a Compass to MS Care program. We do this around the United States. If anybody wants to know, you can follow us by visiting our website and seeing all the locations that we are every month. Okay, this Compass to MS Care series was designed to bring MS education and resources to those in rural and underserved communities around the United States. So again, I want to thank you all for coming here. Everybody that's in attendance today, and for all those online, thank you, and we'll see you again soon. Have a great day.